Greetings and welcome to another episode of Countermeasures. It is a lovely rainy day here in London, and I am just taking a wander down to the station with my trusty bag here. Slightly different change of format this week, because I am going to the Thought Bubble Comic-Con slash Artist Festival. It's a 2-day festival over the weekend in Harrogate. Sorry, just crossing the road. And basically it's a collection of writers and artists and all kind of creative types, publishers, printers, you know, all those kind of guys, all hanging together in a room for 2 days, talking about work, signing stuff, and generally just being a whole load of nerds together. And I have to travel to Harrogate to do that. You know, there is no length that I will not go to surround myself with the comfort of my fellow nerd. So that's where I'm going, and I just thought I might do a little diary over the weekend, because I'm flying solo as usual. No writer in tow this time, just myself. And yeah, I'm off to the station. I've got all my gear. I am entering some competitions as well this weekend, one of which is the 2000 AD Star Search. I entered a competition for them not that long ago for the Art Stars and did okay. Didn't win, but you know, you can't have everything. So there's another competition where there was a proper brief, a proper 5-page brief with script and everything, and you basically had to illustrate that and submit it in person, of course, which is why I'm heading up there. So I'm going to drop my work off to them tomorrow. If it gets through to the 10 finalists, you have like another stage on the Sunday, and who knows, you might win it, you might not. But taking part, that's what matters, right? It's all about the journey. Right, to be continued. So I've just arrived in Harrogate. Yes, okay, so I got my 5-hour train journey and stop off at York, and then we'll just walk past the convention centre. I'm going to go take a look at that in a little bit. And yeah, now I'm here in the Kane Hotel, or the Kane Hotel. It's a proper old school hotel where the lock on the door is a Yale, of course. Look, I've got my single bed for one. And yeah, this is the kind of glamorous life that I'm leading this weekend. I mustn't knock it. I do like these old buildings. It's like they managed to survive because they never got level during the war like everything else did in London. So like all the old fittings and fixtures and the big open glass windows and stuff downstairs, they look pretty cool, but I'm going to show you that in a sec. It's all very exciting, as you can tell. I'm very excited. And I just found this as well, which is quite amazing. There's actually a Corby trouser press in my wardrobe. You don't get that in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith hotels, I can tell you that. So my diary continues. This is the hotel that I'm staying in, which looks a little bit like the Bates Motel, but that's okay. Now, there's some drilling going on, of course, because why wouldn't you? There be drilling while you're recording in the street. It's all very exciting. Now, I'm staying in a place called the Kane. Look, it looks like it's nice. It's an old building, and you know, it's old. Smells of fish. You know, it's the north. Anyway, what's interesting is that it is really close to the convention centre. So I'm just going to take a little wander down there now and check it out. So yeah, there's the convention centre, as you can see it behind me. So this is in the middle of Harrogate. It's only about 5 minutes walk from where I'm staying, which I do find quite amazing, as all of the rooms and all of the places were really booked up. So I just kind of picked a random hotel, and it just happens to be really close, and there wasn't really anywhere else. But I like it, and it, just literally just up the road, which is handy. And this is my first time here, so there's plenty of restaurants and bars, etc., etc. It looks pretty good. It's pretty active. I saw these guys were setting up, so I just had a little peek through the window, and they're like some nosy neighbour, and they're getting everything set up for the morning. So yeah, bring it on. Good morning, Harrogate. It's sunny, thank God for that. It was pretty cold last night. Now, I'm just about to set off, and I'm all set with my submissions for 2000 AD. I've also brought along some Pugs in Space stuff that I can talk to some of the creatives about, previous work. Obviously, Danger Mouse is never far away. Got my little A3 bag. Got my hardboards with my work mounted on it, and then I've got a secondary set here, which I was just going to go through. Yeah, basically, the brief was to illustrate a script from a very well-known writer called Al Ewing, and it's all about a friendly alien invasion, let's say. So I'm just going to skip through what I did. A friendly alien invasion that ends badly. So obviously we did like a cover here, and then the story is a future shock story, which is a kind of running series within 2000 AD that has ran pretty much from the start, certainly from the 80s, maybe not 77, but certainly from the 80s. So I've submitted some solutions for the illustration style. I did everything in black and white. I'm not pretending that I'm a particularly amazing colorist. It's fine for Danger Mouse and the Pugs, but yeah, my skills in coloring, I would rather just paint them all, that's kind of my jam. But unfortunately, time is against me. So luckily on this occasion, they are taking submissions in black and white for that reason. So thanks very much for that. Yeah, and then this has a horrific ending where everybody melts. So I got to draw like cool things like this mutilated skull, a little bit of swearing, all these guys, a little bit of a stretch away from Danger Mouse, but fun nonetheless, and I had a really good time doing it. Now, I'm not under any pretense whatsoever that I'm even going to get in the top 10. They have so many entries, and the quality of work is so high. Just being able to basically submit some work to them and talk to them over the desk as they kind of shake their heads and say no is worth the price of admission on these kind of things, because you don't get anywhere unless you try, and rejection is all part of it. So I'm thoroughly expecting to have a pat on the back and say yes, we like it, but not this time, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But obviously, to even be considered in the top 10 would be amazing. To win it would never happen, because like I said, the quality of work is so high, and there will have been people that have been able to put a lot more time into their submission. So I guess we'll just wait and see. And they're a lot better than I am, because like I say, when you're working on these things, they take a long time to draw. And then you're sitting there and you're thinking, actually, this is probably the best face I've ever done. This is probably the best kind of, it's still part of the process of that 10,000 hours. I'm sure I've drawn more in my lifetime, but not this kind of work. So it's a little bit alien to me in places. So to other people it won't be. So that experience will win out every time. But I guess we'll wait and see. So yeah, I'm going to head off now. It's gone 10 o'clock, so the door's just opened, and yeah, we're going to see what's going on. So I'm on my way now, finally, to drop my work off, etc. Hang on, I'm the wrong way around. There you go. And I have to admit, I am a little bit nervous. Now, I don't normally get nervous about things. I've been working in the design industry for a long time, and presenting work and doing all that kind of stuff, it doesn't bother me at all. I could get up and talk about design work all day, and I guess I was thinking about that this morning, about why I was feeling nervous where normally I wouldn't do. And I feel that maybe the issue is that when you're designing something, more often than not, you're working in a collaboration. You're collaborating with other creatives, maybe other photographers, other illustrators, sometimes other designers, depending on what you're doing. Maybe if it's a website, you're working with other people in a capacity that you're all building towards the finished thing together, and it kind of lives and dies on the efforts of everybody putting in 100%. Now, that's not to say that I don't or haven't worked on design jobs where I'm solely responsible from start to finish, but I think because I've been through that process so many times, this is going to sound really wanky, but it is like second nature now. I'm an older guy, 46, and no spring chicken, so I've been around the block a while. I know the process. Whereas with something like this, I feel like there is no one else. You're putting your work forward and you're saying, this is it, this is the best I can do for this job right now. This is, and you're handing it over to your peers. You're not handing it over to a client. You're handing it over to people that do this work, and they know exactly what they're looking for. And so the pressure is I feel the pressure is much higher. So yeah, so there is a bit of nerves this morning for sure, handing this over. And like I said, on one hand, it's like, well, the journey's important, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about winning necessarily. If I got in the top 10, that would be amazing, but I don't even really care about that. What I care about is maybe not being laughed out of the room would be nice. I don't know. I don't really feel this way about my day job, but for some reason, this really matters. I think maybe it's also to do with my age, because if I was a 20-something coming and doing this and handing stuff over, and which I would have done had I followed this path, I'd have been through that process years ago. I think maybe people look kindly on the younger people. They're like, there's room to improve. He'll get better. We can see how we can mold this person. Whereas I think when you reach my age, which is, I hate to say, closer to 50 than 40. And I've done a few things, but only recently, in the last sort of 3 or 4 years with illustration. There is a pressure. There's a different kind of pressure. There's a pressure that kind of says, well, maybe this is as good as it gets, So I guess we'll see. But I just thought I'd put that down there just to let you know that it's not all roses. It's a lot of hard work, and I'm feeling the pressure. So let's see how we get on today. Oh, I'm nearly here. Okay, so that was the end of day one, and it went pretty okay, I think. I submitted my work to the 2000 AD folio review, and I didn't realise they were going to do it there and then, but they literally just were there in a queue and they just sit and go through it all with you there and then you hand it over to them and they say, we'll be in touch. Probably never to be heard of again, but it was very useful because some of the things they were saying that they really liked, there were some things that needed improving, of course, you know, everyone's a critic, and generally it went really, really well, so that was really good. I also got to meet several other artists that were doing it at the same time. It's quite an insular solo experience doing these briefs, so to meet other people that had done them as well, and we were talking a lot in the queue about, you know, the process, all that boring stuff that no one cares about except for me, and the other 500 odd people that were in the queue. It was insane. There were so many people. I thought maybe 30 or 40 might kind of enter, but they basically opened the portfolio review up for an hour, still going like 5 hours later, so my chances of getting in the top 10 are slim at best, but you know, you've got to come along and do these things. What other things that happened today, you know, they always say show don't tell, don't they? But I can't walk around with a camera in my pocket all day filming people while I'm chatting to them, unfortunately. So basically I spoke to John Wagner, who I got to chat to for about 10 minutes. I think my new claim to fame is that I convinced him to get Apple Pay on his phone. You know, add that to your CV and your LinkedIn profile. Chatted to Sean Phillips for ages, who is the illustrator for Kill or Be Killed and Sleepers and all these other books, and he was really nice. Met Zoe Thorogood, who wrote and drew the book It's Lonely at the Centre of the Earth, which was really good. She was very nice, and she's about like 18, which is ridiculous. So talented, and just working for Image, publishing her own work, just really, 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 really cool. And Alison Sampson was there again. Second time I've got to see her. My friends at Time Bomb Comics, or my new friends, I should say, were there. And yeah, it was really, really good. And there's a second day tomorrow. So at some point today, I'd say within the next hour, I should get a phone call, but I suspect not. Either way, I am going along tomorrow to the final to check it all out anyway, along with all the other 490 hopefuls who didn't get through, and see what they do pick and what they say in the critique. So that's really exciting. That's kicking off at 11 tomorrow, so I'm going to go and do that. All in all, good day. And obviously I bought a load of books as well, got them signed. Well worth checking out for sure. I definitely recommend Thought Bob. It's probably the best one I've been to so far. Anyway, more tomorrow. Good morning, it's day 2 of the Thought Bubble Festival. I had a fairly decent night's sleep. I'm just heading back down to do it all again today. So basically, so I had some good feedback yesterday. They liked my work. They liked the design of it for sure. They liked that part of it, so that tells you everything you need to know. But I don't think, unless some miracle happens between here and the front door, that I'm going to be in the running. And there is no top 10, it's top 5. So maybe I was number 6, let's just say that. So I'm heading down there now, and basically what they're going to do is they're going to critique all the work. And maybe get a chance to film some of it. And I'll catch up with you shortly.
an interesting one because it's an Al Ewing script. Now, if anybody who's ever read an Al Ewing comic knows, intricate is exactly the word to use. So I'm going to cycle back through. Is this done digitally or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Just some initial thoughts, the job. Let's see that.
It's good. Why is only one page in colour?
I just had the time to.
Time.
Trying to set up for a thought bubble and yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
One of the main reasons, sorry.
No, sorry.
One of the main reasons why I chose this one in specific to doing color was because there was on the script, if color can be applied, I would like to see the rainbow in the sky. So that's why I kind of concentrated for this one in color.
Yeah, so it's clear, which is the most important thing in any sequential pages. I think, do we go specifics or general, Mike? What's the move here?
Specifics. It's
Okay.
something you see that you pick up on.
Can we go back to the first page?
Yeah, sure.
Like, so, for example, so that's nice, like that bottom panel, it's, you know, dynamic angle, it's great. The second panel, for example, you could maybe think about grouping the people in more as a whole rather than disparate elements, you know. I know it's obviously a street and they're apart, but I would prefer to see personally, like, if you had all the figures slightly lower down, then the caption boxes wouldn't cover the figures at the top. Similarly on the third one, panel 3, that feels slightly disparate somehow. It's kind of, it could have a bit more cohesion, I think. But my first impression is that it's clear, it's solid, and it's good. Can we flick through a little bit? What was the next page as well? Yeah, when we flick through, I'm seeing a lot of straightforward camera angles as well. You know, there's maybe vary the shots a little bit. Dutch the angles a little bit more. You know, there's a lot of horizontals that are horizontal here, horizons that are horizontal here, and that's fine, and then that can be a storytelling tool as well. But my sense of maybe this story is if there's a lot going on, and maybe you could visually show that a little bit more. You know, but yeah, it's good. It's solid.
This
I'm from Liverpool.
Liverpool. It's all whereabouts.
I'm Wirral.
Ah, right. Okay. You're still in this. Fantastic. And is this your first time?
Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Is it the first time you've tried to do like a future shock? Have you been doing sample scripts?
Yeah, I saw a couple of years back when COVID was happening that they released about 5 sample future shock scripts.
Yeah.
And I was just doing them as sort of practice to sort of try and figure out translating scripts to images.
Yeah.
I've given it a go before, but I've never entered.
Right, brilliant. Well, congratulations for making it through to the final on your first go. Again, do you see what I mean about the different ways of doing that sequence there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I found it really fascinating looking at all the entries. Yeah, a bit more involved with this one. There was a bolder inking style than Andre. Coming back to the point you were making about inking lines. Tom, as Mr. Inking himself, what's your initial thoughts on Luke's entry?
I think it's a very interesting one because there are areas there which do kind of betray a certain degree of inexperience, but I would say that those are counterbalanced by areas which go far beyond basic competence. I think it's quite a sort of, it's almost a little bit polarized in terms of there's things that you're great at and there's things that you're maybe struggling still with a little bit. And it is almost 50-50 which of those things is jumping out from panel to panel. Not that it's the pages themselves look inconsistent, because there is a kind of consistent style to it, but just the first thing you notice in each panel can either be something that looks great or something that looks a bit off. I think generally in terms of page composition, things are mostly kind of okay. There's a couple of areas where maybe the shots could kind of tie together a bit more dynamically, like this page here, for example. Those do look very much like individual drawings on a page rather than necessarily stuff that kind of ties together as a whole. And there's ways that you can kind of adjust that by kind of leading the eye, having a constant kind of through line of the reader's eye line through the page, sort of directing them with compositional elements from one area of importance in a panel into the whatever's important in the next panel. But that stuff does just kind of like, you can learn that kind of quickly. I'd say the inking is quite bold. There's some areas where the thing that's letting down the inking a little bit is the fact that the drawing underneath it's not necessarily as sound as it could be. Because when you're, like for example on the first page where you've got that kind of briefcase thing, the satchel in the foreground, that's brilliant because you've got so much texture on there, and you can do that because the drawing underlying it is, you know, is that little bit stronger. My guess is you probably used some kind of reference for that, but not necessarily maybe for the figure so much, or for the rest of the panel. But I love how much you're prepared to put the time and attention into your backgrounds. That really, really enhances it. There's a few areas where maybe there could be a little bit more clarity, where if there were a few more solid black areas and solid white areas, it might take away from a slight sense of muddiness that you get a little bit, just that wee bit sharper. I mean, I can see it, it's basically a sort of Will Eisner, Jeff Darrow composite style. And I think maybe if you're looking to clarify the storytelling, maybe look more towards the Will Eisner side of things, and for like precision with details, obviously look into the Jeff Darrow thing, but try and measure those influences fairly carefully. But yeah, I think a few stronger areas of like black, like bolder black and whites, just to make things look a little bit clearer would help. And maybe just a little bit more study into anatomy and like regular, most like body anatomy, but also facial anatomy, just to tighten up those details. I know it's a stylistic choice, but that stylistic choice should be an informed one. But I mean, there's a lot of really great stuff about it. So yeah.
Anna, what's your thoughts?
Well, it's a really interesting approach, this one. Like right now, I'm looking at the faces in the first 3 panels, and I would agree with Tom on this one. If you just work on your anatomy a little bit more to keep it a bit, to give it a bit more structure and logic to it, there's a really great potential because you're already naturally dragged to stylized approach. Like you can see that you like stylized work, and this is a great mix to have when you mix correct anatomy with style, because it actually makes it very unique, it makes it very you. But as Tom said, you need a little bit of correctness there, just to tighten it up. Maybe do a little bit of like practice in live draw, or you know, just anatomy practice. But also be careful not to lose that interest to the style as well. Don't get. It's an interesting balance, right? Because you have to just keep it a little bit more right on the anatomical side, but you don't want to lose that unique touch that you already have. So try to kind of keep that balance right. Interestingly, obviously, it's very detailed. You spent probably a long time doing this, you know, but you can tell that you've enjoyed it because it's very consistent, and throughout the pages, the quality doesn't really deteriorate. So it's like you manage to keep the interest on it and your focus on it, which is a huge thing in comics because it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of physical work, a lot of mental work. So you often start at a very high, you're very excited about the project, but it's quite difficult to keep that enthusiasm throughout the entire thing. And here I can see that you obviously enjoy what you do, you know, so you probably makes it like, it's like work/rest for you. Kinda, it does come through that you enjoy that yourself.
How long did this take you?
I think about 12 hours a page is the rough.
That's very good.
Yeah.
All right, Anna, what's your immediate thoughts?
really, really nice. And am I right if I'm seeing the clear kind of manga reference here in terms of the artistic approach?
Not exactly.
No. No.
I don't have any manga experience. I mean, a reference.
Mm-hmm.
But I have tried to do the tonal treatment inspired from the manga.
Mm-hmm.
So the drawing is probably Western style, but the tonal correction is towards manga.
Yes. Well, the tone is done really, really well.
Okay.
You can see like you've definitely enjoyed the process of making it, and I have to compliment the consistency of it again, because again it's very structured throughout the entire script. Yeah, like I have to say it's very good. You have like content and ability already. The only thing like interesting I see is that again there's like kind of differentiation a bit between a little bit more cartoonified approach to human characters and a bit more realistic. Is it intentional as well to the difference between the worlds? Is it?
Yeah, I do some. Yeah, that is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I just did it in my style, like whatever I felt, which was apt for the story. The story was pretty much elaborate and intense, and also the placement of the words. There were like so many words happening there, so I had to find I placed that first, and then did the art according to the space, and that's how I did the process.
Yes.
So that was quite challenging for me. So yeah.
But you did a great job, and the great thing about it is that you're clearly not afraid of detailization. You didn't like shortcut it in any shape or form. You gave it your best, and it really shows.
Right. Thank you.
Tom, your thoughts?
It's very strong. I think it was a very good decision to put the tonal values in there. Any lack of clarity that there might have been in the storytelling otherwise has gone, but to be honest, I'm not sure there was a whole lot.
Years of getting people into the comic book industry, beginning their careers, which is for me what 2000 AD has always been about, which is finding new talent. And hopefully the winner of this will then work on the script provided by the winner of yesterday's script competition. So it'll probably appear sometime in the summer next year in 2000 AD. And most importantly, they get paid for it, which is a key element for me. So conferring away. And, have you made your decision?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Will we, do we have an accord?
This gentleman here.
Oh, congratulations! We'll get your details, and we'll see you in the pages of 2000 AD. Yeah, congratulations! See you next year. Thank you.
Yay. And so that was it. That was the end of the Thought Bubble convention this week. And I have to say that it probably is the best convention I've ever been to, where there's a whole lot of creatives and people selling their wares. It pales. Well, it doesn't pale into significance. MCM pales into significance when you think about what you're trying to get out of it. Now, if you just want to go, there's my hand over the camera. If you just want to go and buy a whole load of merch, and you want to go and purchase a whole load of Funko Pops, then yeah, get yourself down to the MCM London, because that is the place to be for all of that stuff. And there is an artist alley and it's generally quite good. It was better this year for sure, but not as good as this one. This one is completely skewed the other way, which is that it's not centralized on merchandise. It's not centralized on buying toys. You know, there's hardly any toys there. It's actually the center of the entire convention is basically creatives, artists and writers. They had like jewelry makers. They had people doing illustrations, you know, commissions on site. They had, you know, people like Jock and Jeff Lemire. They had, as I mentioned before, they had Zoe Thorogood, who I'm a fan of. She was there along with John Wagner, who, you know, is like legendary. So they had some really big names who, you know, at places like the MCM London Comic Con, they are behind desks, you know, whereas here you are generally, you know, you can just walk up and chat to them, and I feel like that kind of access feels very kind of old school, like how it might have been in like the 70s and 80s when these people started, and I feel like they've kept that alive. I think that's a very unique USP for this place, to do something like that, and I'd hope that stays like that, and that they don't start to bring in too much merchandise, because you go through the other sites, the other conventions, and they are just stacks and stacks of toys with, you know, sort of creatives and artists, etc., kind of dotted in between, and it does somehow lose the appeal. You feel like you're on this kind of money machine. You're part of the system where you're just there to spend money, and, you know, I know these places have to make money, but from a creative's point of view, having access to these people and being able to talk to them about their careers, I mean, the one last thing I'm just about to do before I sign off here is I'm going to watch a panel with Jock, who is going to talk about his career from when he started to what he's doing now, and how that has changed from him just doing art to being a writer, and writing for not just his own generated projects, which he does, but also for like DC. You know, I mean, he's been given the reins to write some major Batman stories over the years, and you can tell my camera work's amazing, and, you know, that in itself is thank you. Nice people in Harrogate. See, in London they would have just ran me over there. You know, so he's going to talk about that, and he's going to talk about, you know, what it means to be a writer illustrator, and that's something that I'm kind of heading towards, or I have aspirations to be. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear from him, and, you know, hopefully get some tips. The few events that I have attended here within the convention have been really informative and really fun. I would really like to exhibit here next year, and I've spoken to them already about, you know, what that means and what the process is, and they seem quite interested in newcomers from down London way coming up and bringing their tats to sell, and to engage with the audience, which is, you know, what Tim and I are trying to do with the pugs. You know, and there's always Danger Mouse and Skipper Whiskers and all those other projects that were essentially, you know, the pugs and the cats and dogs are self-published, so, you know, that's could be quite interesting. But all in all, I would give this a 10 out of 10 for an experience in terms of coming to see and interact with a lot of really creative industry people, but also it's family friendly. So if you want to bring your kids down here, there's a whole kids section where you can just draw comics all day. There's a huge, great big library where they can just come here and read all the books for free. I just think it's really, really lovely, and you're not nickel and dimed every 2 seconds like you are in a lot of the other conventions. You know, you pay for your entry fee for those, and then it's like, oh, you want to go and see that person speak, that's £10. You want to go and see that person speak, it's another 20. Whereas with this one, it's just like the door fee for the entire weekend was £30, and that's it. And, you know, if you're like me and you like buying books, there's a lot of books to buy here, and every single one of them has a massive discount. So if you go in and buy a couple of books, that's your door entry fee cleared. You're literally walking in for free. So anyway, I can't rave about it enough. Absolutely love my time here. A little bit disappointed that I didn't get through to the semi-finals of the 2000 AD competition. But you know what? I learned a lot, and I spent some time with the people that got through. I spoke to you know, a whole load of people at 2000 AD about, you know, the process and what they look for and what they don't look for, etc., etc. And, you know, I generally think that they liked what I submitted. I feel that it probably fell down slightly in as much as it felt like a 2000 AD comic strip, and I think they were actually just looking for people with a different kind of identity, something that screams your particular style. So I think next time I'm probably going to approach it slightly differently, but there will be a next time. Mark my words, I'm coming back. I do not quit. I cannot let go of this bone. So I will hopefully be back next year. I'm planning on being back next year. And if we get to exhibit at the same time, then even better. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know how long it got. I do quite a lot of footage this weekend. But it was really, really interesting to come here. And I do like Harrogate. There's a lot to do here. And yeah, the exhibition. I think I'll finish on this rather flattering grate shot that I've now got in the background. That's the kind of quality that my viewers have come to expect, and I wouldn't want to disappoint them. So until next time, be good, stay safe, and be kind to one another. Peace out, we gone!